Good morning, students. Today I am going to start your first chapter of history, that is the French Revolution. Students, in this chapter we will see that what happens when the rulers, those who having the responsibilities to look after their people, they themselves started to make exploitation of their masses in such conditions or the circumstances. What is the response of the people towards the atrocities done by their masters to them? What is their response towards all those atrocities? We will see in this chapter. Okay, so we will start the chapter with first topic, that is the France or the condition of France before the revolution of 1789. Means we should know that what are the conditions prevails in France before the revolution of 1789, which is called the French Revolution. Okay, during that time most of the countries or the regions of the world, they having the monarchical form of government. So in other regions also, like other regions, France also having the monarchical form of government. So during that time France was under the rule of the Bourbon dynasty. Means it was a Bourbon dynasty who ruled over the France. Okay, and Louis XVI was the ruler of France on the eve of the French Revolution. Okay, so I will give you a little description of those conditions and the circumstances that led to the or that were responsible for the French Revolution. But first of all, we will see that the condition of France before the French Revolution of 1789. Okay, so the first point is Louis XVI became the ruler of France in 1774 and he belongs to the Bourbon family. Okay, the new king found an empty treasure. Means in 1774 when Louis XVI became the ruler of France, he found an empty treasure. There were so many reasons behind this, and the first basic cause of that empty treasure was the extravagant court at the immense palace of Versailles. Extravagance means होता है बच्चों खर्चीला. Means the king and the queen, means Louis XVI and his wife Queen Mary Antoinette of Austria, they both lives a luxurious life and they live a huge palace of the Versailles, which requires huge amount of wealth for its maintenance and for their lavish life. Okay, the second cause of the empty treasure was the long year of wars had drained the financial resources of France. As France was under Louis XVI helped the 13 American colonies to gain their independence from the common enemy, that is Britain. Okay, students, during that time America, which we know today, that is USA, it was not like that. America was divided in 13 different states. Okay, and those 13 different states were under the rule of Britain, and France and Britain during that time was the common enemy. Means France and Britain was the enemies of each other. So France helped America to get victorious over Britain. In short, we can say that America was under the rule of Britain and France unnecessarily helped America in its struggle or the war against the Britain, which drained the huge amount of wealth of France, and France caught in the debt. Okay, that I will explain you later in this chapter. The next point is voting in the States General in the past had been conducted according to the principle that each state had one vote, whereas people were demanding one member, one vote policy. This point I will make you explain later, as first of all I will explain you what exactly the states are. This we will see in the next topic just while. Now we will see the most important topic of this chapter, that is causes responsible for the French Revolution. Okay, so look this topic very carefully. Okay, the first point or the first cause which is responsible for the outbreak of the French Revolution of 1789, that is the political cause. Okay, so Louis XVI was an empty-headed despot. He never paid attention towards his people. He was an autocratic ruler, means he regarded himself as a representative of God on earth. He, along with his wife Marie Antoinette, lives a luxurious life and they never pay attention towards their people. Okay, so the first reason, that is the political cause of the French Revolution, is that Louis XVI was an empty-headed despot. He doesn't have any experience of administration, as he became the ruler of France at very early age, when he was only 20 years of age. Okay, so he regarded himself as a representative of God on earth, and he, along with his wife, they both live a luxurious life and they never pay attention towards their people. So I think the first point is clear to you. Now we will see the next point, that is social causes. This is the second point, in which we will see about the states, and I will explain you, or I will tell you that what exactly the states are. Okay, so students, on the eve of the French Revolution, the French society was divided into three states or the classes. We can say this class also. Okay, states or the classes: the clergy, the nobility, and the class of common people. So first of all, we should know that what exactly the clergy, who were the clergy, nobility, and the common people. So I think you got what is the meaning of states. States are the division of the classes. We can say it class also. Okay, so it represent the different class on the basis of which people were divided in France. Okay, so the first class is clergy. Clergy were the people who belongs to church, means they were the member of church, or somehow they were associated with the proceedings of the church. The second class is the nobility. These were the people who were in the king's palace, means who were the officials who belongs to the official categories of the king. And the third one is the class of common people. It includes doctors, traders, lawyers, philosophers, educators. They all consist, even the farmers or the peasants, they also come in the third state. Okay, the other two states were exempted from all types of taxes, means even though they were very rich, but still they do not have, means they all were exempted from all types of taxes, as they were very close to the king or the ruler, both the nobility and the clergy. So it was only the third state or the third class, which include the common people, they have to pay all types of taxes. Here one thing you should note, that the clergy and the nobility, they were very less in numbers, means the common people, they consist, the people who came into the category of common masses, they consist almost 95% of the French population, and only about 5% of the people, they came into the category of nobility and clergy. Okay, so it was the third state who have to pay all types of taxes. So I think you got this, means on the eve of French Revolution, the French society was divided into three different states or the categories, that is clergy, nobility, and the class of common people. The upper two states, they were exempted from all types of taxes. It was the third state who had to pay all type of taxes. Okay, now the next cause of the French Revolution is the economic cause. Okay, so There was a widespread economic disparity, means differences among the peasants who made up of 90% of population, means among the total population of France, the 90% people are peasants, okay? But only the fact is that only a small proportion of them own the land they cultivated, means most of the peasants, they do not have their own land, they worked on some other's land, the people who belongs to nobility or the church, okay? So we will see this. You can see here about 60% of the land was owned by nobles, the church, and few rich people of the third estate. So these peasants, they are working on their fields, that is the nobles, the church persons, and the rich members of the third estate, okay? So there's a huge economic disparity among the people. The next point is influence of the philosophers and the writers. Students, this is very important point because it was the French philosophers, they played a very vital role in the success of French Revolution, as they infused the people with the ideas of equality, liberty, and the fraternity, which became the slogans of the French Revolutionary later, that is equality, fraternity, or liberty, okay? So many French philosophers and thinkers like Montesquieu, Rousseau, he is considered as the architect of the French Revolution. Montesquieu, Rousseau, Voltaire, John Locke, who exposed the evils prevailing in the system in France, okay? Means they openly condemned, they openly criticized the administration, the king, and the church, and they highlighted the problems which the people are facing in France, and they infused the people with the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity, okay? So I hope you understand the causes which were responsible for the French Revolution. Now we will see an important topic of this chapter, that is role of philosophers. Now I will explain you in detail that what is the role of the philosophers in the success of the French Revolution. So students, the philosophers played a very vital role in French Revolution, means there were some chief philosophers who having a great role in the success of French Revolution. We will read about them. So first we will read about Jean-Jacques Rousseau. I have already explained you in a while that he is regarded as the architect of the French Revolution, okay? In his book he said that man was born free, yet he is everywhere in chains. This is his very famous quotation, students, where he explained the sorrow of the human beings, where he explained that man was born free, yet he is everywhere in chains under such type of administration. So he wrote a famous book, that is Social Contract. In his book he proved that, or he argued that, the government was a result of a contract between the people and the ruler. So if the ruler did not fulfill the contract, or if he is not able to fulfill the wishes of the people, so people should have the right to bring down the government through the revolution. Means in his book he proved that the government is a result of a contract between the people and the ruler, okay? So if the rulers or the governments are not able to fulfill, or they were not able to satisfy the people, so in such conditions people, they should have right to bring down the government through the revolution. So such ideas inspire the people at a very large extent. The next one is Charles Montesquieu. He was also an important figure which played a very vital role in the success of this revolution. So we will read about him. He was a nobleman by a birth. He became a lawyer, then a judge. In his book, he was a great philosopher also actually. In his book, The Spirit of Laws. These are very important points in this chapter. You should know about the writers and their creations. So please note down all this. I have already given all this in your notes in your WhatsApp groups. Okay, so please go through the notes also. So Montesquieu, in his famous book that is The Spirit of Law, he criticized the autocracy and praised the concept of democratic republic. Means Montesquieu, in his book The Spirit of Laws, he openly criticized autocracy, that is the king and his administration, and he praised the ideals of democratic republic. According to him, there should be the separation of power, means all the power should not be in one hand. There should be the separation of legislature, executive and judiciary. The next one is Voltaire. He wanted the people to think about their material life on earth and forget about heaven. Actually, during that time, most of the people, they believes that king is the angel, means he is the ancestor of God. Okay, and God has sent the king to rule over the people. So in during that time, people, they not having a dare to challenge the authority of the king. That is why Voltaire, through his writings, he badly criticized this philosophy, and he wanted the people that they should think about their material life, mean the life which they were living at present. Okay, so and according to him, the people, they should think about their material life and forget about the heaven. He condemned the church, which supports only the privileged classes, that is nobility and the clergy, and ignore the poor. Means Voltaire, through his writings, he badly condemned the church to, means because as I have already explained you that clergy and the nobility, they were the people, two classes or the states which were exempted from all types of taxes, and it was only the third state who have to pay huge burden of different taxes. So for all this, Voltaire badly condemned the church, which supports the privileged classes and ignores the poor. Okay, so I hope you all understand that what exactly the role of philosophers in the French Revolution. Okay, now we will see the last philosopher and an important philosopher, that is John Locke. Okay, he, in his famous book that is Two Treatises of Government, he condemned the divine and absolute right of the monarch. Means like the other philosophers also, John Locke also condemned the divine and absolute powers. Absolute means a system of administration in which there is no restrictions on the rulers. He is free to do anything, means the ruler doesn't work under the control of anyone. So John Locke also condemned the divine and the absolute right of the monarch. He is also having a belief that the rulers must be attentive towards the needs of the people. Okay, and it is very important to make a regulation on their powers. Now we will see that an important topic also, that is outbreak of the revolution. Okay, so actually I just try to make a summary of this. It will help you to understand the chapter in a better way. So let's see this. In the beginning, I have already told you that France was engaged in several wars under the Bourbon rulers, which make its condition economically very miserable. So we will see all this. Okay, so under the Bourbon rulers, France had gone into a debt trap or in debt because of the fighting in the 7 years of wars between the period of 1756 to 1763. And I have already told you that the Revolutionary War in America, means America during that time was under the rule of Britain. That I have already explained you, and I have already give this in your notes also. So if you having any problem, please go through the notes also. France helped American colonies to gain their independence from Britain. The war added more than 1 billion of livres, livre was the French currency during that time. So just because of the engagement of the unnecessarily engagement of France in that particular war, so it led a huge burden of about a billion livres to France. Okay, so the war added more than a billion livres to a debt that had already risen to more than 2 billion livres. Okay, so in 1774, when Louis XVI became the ruler of France, when he ascended the throne, he found an empty treasure. This I have already explained you in a while. So to meet the expenses like maintaining, देखो here any type of government, they need huge amount of money for their different administration functions. So Louis XVI also, he requires enormous amount of money for maintaining the army, the court, running the government offices and the universities. Okay, and I have already explained you that just because of war, the French treasury almost became empty. So he doesn't have any choice. Instead of increasing the taxes, means he had to increase the taxes. He is compelled to increase the taxes. I have already explained you that all types of taxes were paid by the people who belongs to the third estate. The upper two states or the classes who were very rich, they were already exempted from all types of taxes. So this is also one of the major cause of the French Revolution, as the conditions of the people, it was very miserable. We will see it later. Okay, so to imposing all those taxes on May 5, 1789, Louis XVI called together an assembly of States General. Okay, here you should know that what is States General. Students, it is a political body to which three states, I have explained you about those three states, that is nobility, clergy and the class of commons. Okay, so it is a political body in which all the members of three states sent their representatives. The voting in the States General in the past had been conducted according to the principles that each state had one vote. So here, this you should know that during that time there were, I have already explained you, there were three states in France. So what is their voting procedure? Okay, I will explain you this. The voting in States General in the past had been conducted according to the principles that each state is regarded as one vote. Means they were not following the concept of one person, one vote. Means among three states, one state is considered as one vote. Means totality there are three votes. So I have already explained you that the upper two states, they were exempted from all types of taxes. So it was very obvious that they will favor the king or its administration. Okay, so in the meeting of States General, the same past procedure was followed by the king, under which each state had one vote. But this time the member of the third state, they demanded that now be conducted, means voting should be conducted on the principle of one person, one vote. Means they didn't want to follow the old procedure of past, and they told that there should be the principle of one person, one vote, which was denied by Louis XVI. Because the people of third state, they were in great majority. I have already explained you this, that the third state, they consist of almost 95% of French population. So if Louis XVI follows the principle of one person, one vote, it was very obvious that third state will obvious winner. So he denied their demands. When Louis XVI denied their demands, so on 20th June, the members of the third estate they assemble in a hall of an indoor tennis court in the ground of Versailles and declare themselves as National Assembly. It is very important point. Okay, when their demands were denied by Louis XVI, then they declared themselves as National Assembly and decides to draft a constitution for France. I have already explained you that the people of means the third estate, it includes the people who belongs to education, courts, and means the doctors, the lawyers, the traders, the businessmen, the rich farmers, they all belongs to the category of third estate. Means there were so many people who having the knowledge to make the people unite. So they all declare themselves as a National Assembly and they decides that they will frame a constitution for France. Now we will see what happens later. Now we will see your next topic, that is fall of Bastille. This is the topic which they have given you in your first page of this chapter. So you have seen in your NCERT book also, but I have arranged all the incident in a ascending order, so you can also took the help from the book or see here also. Now we will see that fall of Bastille. Actually Bastille was a fort where all the political prisoners were kept. It is in Paris, which is the capital of France. Okay, now we will see this topic. So while the National Assembly, we just read a while that they were busy in drafting the constitution for the France, the rest of France seated with turmoil. Turmoil means it is a condition of confusion. So during that year or during that time period, a bad harvest led to the high food prices. People were badly exploited by the shopkeepers and there is no one to help them. Means because of the bad harvest, actually during that, in between the period of 1791, just because of extreme cold conditions, which results a very bad harvest, which ultimately result high food prices. So only the richer section, that is nobility and the clergy and most and very few rich people of the third estate, they were able to retain their basic needs as the prices of the essential things were very high. And I have already explained you that King Louis XVI was an autocratic ruler. He never paid attention towards his people. He always lives a life of luxury. Okay, so in such condition there is no one to help the people, so it is very difficult for them to survive as the prices of the basic things were very high. Okay, so the crowd of angry women stormed into shops. At the same time, king ordered the troops to move into the Paris. Means when it was almost unbearable for the people, so they came in. Most of the people, especially the women, they stormed towards the bread shops. And the king also ordered the troops to move into Paris. So on 14 July, the agitated crowd stormed and destroyed Bastille. Okay, I have told you a while that what is Bastille. You can see it here also. Bastille, it's a fortress of prison where all the political prisoners were kept. Means all those people who raise their voice against the ruler. As you know that in monarchical form of government, people, they don't have the right to challenge the authority of the ruler. Say all those political prisoners were kept in the Bastille jail. Okay, so the angry crowd, they attacked on Bastille and they released all the political prisoners and killed the commander of Bastille. So in the meantime, the National Assembly formed by the third estate, they completed the draft of the French constitution which limits the power of monarch and France became a constitutional monarchy. Understood? Here this is very important point. I will explain it to you later. So you have to remember that in 1791 France became a constitutional monarchy. Okay students, constitutional monarchy is that form of government or administration in which there is an existence of king. Raja hota hai but his powers were limited. Okay, like Britain, in modern democracies Britain is having constitutional monarchy where the king and the queen means the existence of both the king and queen, but the real power is vested in the hands of those who are elected by the people. So such system prevails in France. Okay, now we will see the conditions, or we will see the feature of the French Revolution of 1791 which is formed by the National Assembly. Okay, so its first feature is it limits the power of monarch. Now the powers are divided among legislature, executive and judiciary. Okay, so the first and the foremost feature of the French Revolution is that it limits the power of the monarch. Okay, now the second feature is only men of about 25 years of age who paid taxes equal to at least 3 days of labor of a laborer's wage were given the status of active citizens. Here the active citizens consist of all those people in France who have right to cast the vote. You have to note it here. They have mentioned, I have mentioned here men because it is also an important feature of the French Revolution of 1791 that women, they doesn't have any voting right of every class. Okay, they doesn't have the voting rights because most of the people during that time they feels that women, they didn't have the capability or the caliber to take the decisions. So almost all the women, they were exempted from the voting rights. The third one is remaining men and all the women. Okay, all the women were considered as passive citizens, that is they do not have any voting rights. So these are the three chief characteristics of the French Revolution of 1791. Now we will see the next important topic. I think this is also the most important topic of this chapter, like the causes. So we will see it. Okay, the topic is the